achieved.
All right, welcome everybody to Studio de Jefre de Quarantine. We got big Cowboys news today, actually. A couple of big news items. I got to update you on what's going on with both offensive tackles, Tyron Smith and Lyle Collins. They're both making some headlines today, as is Amari Cooper, who was on 105.3 The Fan, which is kind of what happens. Home of the Dallas Cowboys. Check me out from 2 to 7, Monday through Friday, okay? Now, we'll start with our big news of the day, and then we're going to break down Amari Cooper because he was talking about, hey, Amari, what happens with your home numbers are awesome and your road numbers are terrible? What's the deal with those splits? And Amari Cooper's got an answer for us, and we're going to investigate if that's true, if his answer is true, or if we got something weird going on. So let's start with the news about Lyle Collins, which is pretty darn big, if you ask me, or maybe it's pretty darn tiny, one or the other. But Michael Gelkin of the Dallas Morning News was the first one to report that I saw Lyle Collins in a car crash this morning, and so he was absent from the practice field, but a source told Michael Gelkin that he's okay, right? So that sounds like, oh, okay, had a little car wreck, couldn't get to practice because you had to sort through all that. Hey, let me get your insurance, man. Then Ian Rappaport with this follow-up where he says, this sounded scary. Scary's one word. LC got cut off, described as a major crash, but he somehow came out okay. And we'll get to Tyron Smith in a second, who walked off today and is, quote, fine, according to a source. So LC in a car crash that he's okay, but it was major, according to Ian Rappaport. And then I want to go to this real quick where Michael Gelkin again, team source characterized the situation with Lyle Collins as minor, a relief. So it was major and minor, both. In other words, we'll keep tracking. We'll keep tracking. But Lyle Collins' car crash, that is factual. And perhaps the crash was considered major between the vehicles, but minor in terms of what it did to LC. Either way, hopefully everyone is fine. That is the Lyle Collins news of the day. He obviously hasn't been practicing anyway with the ones or basically at all. He's been doing conditioning to try to get himself ready, which in and of itself, a little bit of a concern, if you ask me. We're just kind of glossing over the fact that everybody is out there going and ready to rock, and the starting right tackle, who was incredible last year, isn't ready. A little concerning, but not a big deal in the grand scheme of things, right? An injury would be a big deal in the grand scheme of things. The fact that he needs to get his conditioning in order, not as big a deal. Now, back to Tyron Smith. Don't know, have not seen what it was that made him leave the field. I think a lot of people's minds are naturally going to gravitate towards his back. And basically, for me, almost everything is concerning with Tyron Smith. He's still an incredible player, probably one of the top 3 left tackles in the game still. So to anybody who thinks that he's fallen off, you're not basing that off of watching him play. I'm not sure where you'd be getting it. He's still awesome. So the Cowboys should not be in a hurry to feel like they need to replace Tyron or anything like that. But I always worry about somebody who's got a back issue that it's not going to get better. It's something you're going to have to manage all the way through. So let me double check in real time to make sure that we haven't seen exactly what it was that had him come off of the field. Walked off with the trainer. No noticeable injury from John Machota, but he did not return. Jourdan Lewis injures left ankle in team drills, did not return to practice. So there's your updates that Tyron Smith left practice early. Lyle Collins' car wreck meant that he was not at practice. Jourdan Lewis left early with a left ankle. This is one of the things that could absolutely positively derail this team. They've got a good roster. They should have a great offense and hopefully an okay, solid defense with a really good pass rush. Those are the things that this team could have. An offensive tackle going down could absolutely derail the whole thing. They don't have the depth. That's evidenced by yesterday they were off, the day before, that Tank Lawrence was basically destroying practice because you don't have backup tackles. You just Cam Irving, you don't want on the field. You don't have the horses. I mean, shoot, you might get so desperate on this team that you would just say, look, our backup tackles are bad enough that Connor Williams is going to play tackle. And if we lose one, and we'll plug McGovern in at guard, something like that where you have to kind of scramble and move multiple spots because they don't have the depth for that. They can survive a Gerald McCoy injury because I think they have the depth for that on the defensive line, and if Tyrone Crawford is healthy enough to play 50% of snaps, you can survive the Gerald McCoy thing. Not too big of a deal. Not ideal, but not too big of a deal. People are going to lose guys. But if this team is going to end up with unproven left guard and center, and if they were to lose an offensive tackle for a stretch of time, I would worry about that stretch of games. Big time. I would worry about that. So now let's move on to Amari Cooper, who was on 105.3 The Fan this morning, and he talked about one of the things that a lot of people do talk about, which is his numbers. Home games last year, well, I'll just show you. Home games, Amari Cooper, 52 catches for 869 yards and 5 touchdowns. That works out to, if he got to play 16 home games, 104 catches, what's that? 8 is 16, 1660, 1720 plus 18, 1,738 yards and 10 touchdowns. That would be an incredible season, but you don't get to play 8 games at home. You play 8 on the road as well. And his answer to what's up with the home and road splits was, well, I don't get as many targets on the road games. And if I had as many targets, I think my numbers would be as good or better. Let's investigate, Amari, because we can do this math. Ignore the targets and the total. Ignore the total numbers for a second. They're in front of you. You can see them. But what I want to focus on is, number one, you came up 15 short on targets over the course of 8 games. Now, one of those was a New England game where I think he was targeted twice and they were playing in a monsoon, so I don't care about that game. One of them was a Jets game where he played like 4 plays and he was targeted 3 times. You can throw that one out. So that's the totals. You could really call this 6 road games. His targets per game are not off by far. And even if you want to say, okay, include New England because he did play most of the game, he just didn't get targeted. Okay, we'll leave that one in. The Jets game is a throwout because he didn't play in it. So let's say he played the whole game. His average without the Jets game, let's see, it's 49 targets in 7 games. That's 7. So plus 7 from 49 would put you at 56. So now you're at 56 targets in 7 games. Did I do that right? Yeah, 56 if you went, yes, 7 games, he would have had 49. So if he had played 8, in theory, it would be 56. So the targets are off a little bit. And that little bit is basically the New England game where it was a monsoon. But again, I don't care about any of that. I'm rambling, but I don't care about any of that. Here's what I want to focus on. See the numbers on the far right of this? Catch percentage. On home games, you're catching over 77% of the balls thrown your way. The yards per target is almost 13. On the road, you're catching 52% of the passes. Yards per target is just over 6. You're getting literally double the yards per target in home games as you are in road games. You're literally catching 26% more of the balls targeting you in home games than you are in road games. So his answer is not right. It's not I wasn't targeted as much. It's what happened when I was targeted. Inefficient as hell on the road. Super efficient at home. So there is more to it than I wasn't targeted. So Amari Cooper's answer does not hold up to the stress test of facts. But I also don't have a magic answer. I don't think he becomes a bad player on the road. His numbers dip as you get later in the season. These are factual things that happen to Amari. And I think a lot of it is probably just being nicked up, being banged up. But his answer doesn't hold weight. It's not that I wasn't targeted on the road, so don't listen to that and don't buy that. But you can also say, look, it's just there's variance in football. Things get different. Heck, blame Garrett. Blame Garrett. You were targeted less on the road because Garrett wanted to go super conservative in hostile environments. I totally buy that, but it doesn't explain why you hadn't been efficient being targeted while you were on the road. It's just a weird deal. And one that hopefully is not a thing this year, and that balances itself out because he's a really good player. And Dak's a really good player, and they should be able to protect him, and they should be able to be efficient when you're targeting Amari Cooper. So am I super concerned about it? Not really. But his answer is 100% not true. Now, mailbag stuff from you guys. Who's still here at 10:21? Thank you to the 19%ers who are subscribed to the page and have notifications turned on. I love you guys. Ray-Ban says, Jeff, what are your honest thoughts about who steps in for McCoy? Huge loss. Do you have faith in Hill or Gallimore, or do you think we make a move and bring someone in? I know Snacks would be better to fill in for Poe, but he's a bit more mobile and can definitely stop the run. Thoughts? Snacks and Poe play the same position. Snacks is not a 3 technique. People are like, oh, but he's quick, and oh, he could play 3 technique. No, he's a nose tackle. He's not a pass rusher. Poe's not a pass rusher. Different position. Tyrone Crawford is the replacement for Gerald McCoy. If Tristan Hill or Neville Gallimore shows out in camp and is showing out early in the season, then maybe one of them becomes a guy who can play a bunch of snaps at the 3. But if it's my decision, Tyrone Crawford is the starting 3 technique D tackle, and Tristan Hill and Neville Gallimore are battling for the 30 to 50% of the snaps behind him as a rotational guy, because Crawford is not going to be playing 70 or 80% of the snaps. But if he can give me 50, and then Hill or Gallimore can be the backup, and then you'll also have snaps that are pass rush downs where you could take all of them out and go with a NASCAR lineup and just dudes that are kicking in from the outside. You're bringing in new guys to play the outside and rush. You can do that. Christian Conte, 19%er here. If you had to rank between Cheeto, Woods, Lewis, and Clinton Dix on the Cowboys, who will re-sign this offseason? What would be your guess, and who would you choose to bring back? I think Woods would probably be my favorite. I think Xavier Woods has been a good player for them as a safety, as a free safety. And I don't know if he's going to have a real big market. Cheeto, Lewis, and Clinton Dix, first, they would have to spend this season proving to the Cowboys that you want to bring me back. And then if you've done that, it probably means you had a good year. And, man, people need corners. So Cowboys may not want to match whatever they become worth. That becomes the struggle for the Cowboys. Anthony Brown, you've got on a multi-year deal. You brought in Trayvon Diggs and Reggie Robinson, who you're hoping to develop. So I would lean Xavier Woods out of that group. Clinton Dix, if he doesn't have a market again, maybe it could be another one-year deal. But that's why this team's got to be really good this year, and they've got to do something special. Because you're going to lose 2 or 3 starting corners in the offseason, potentially both safeties, your defensive tackles. There's a lot of short-term things here, and it's built to let's go do this. It's not built on a credit card, so it's not like you have to pay for these things later. It's built in a good way, but a lot of it is duct tape on the defense. Michael Wilson, I always watch the entire video. You are by far the best Dallas Cowboys analyst. No hype, no BS, just facts and top-notch analysis. Thanks. As far as golf is concerned, I'd recommend taking one lesson so the pro can help fix your GRP, your grip, and your swing. I did. Saw my guy Bob this morning. We got it fixed. Don't worry about it. When I go bad, I go bad. But he fixed it, and it was. Turn the grip over, bring your body before your arms. I was doing a lot of trying to flail at the ball instead of letting your body bring the hands through. So thanks. I said good luck on the links. Haley, 94 where? Rumors are swirling the Cowboys are shopping for a 3-tech. Is that just a rumor, or is there any meat on that bone? I don't think there's meat on that bone unless they get through camp and have another injury, or they realize or think, shoot, Tristan Hill and Neville Gallimore are terrible. And Tyrone Crawford can't stay healthy. For now, I don't think that they're shopping. I think that it would take something else happening, whether it's not believing in the guys you've got in camp or an injury for them to go shopping. Mike Langer, hi Jeff, 19%er here. Cheers, all the way up from Canada. Big fan of your channel and your authentic Cowboys coverage, especially since we can't easily stream 105.3 The Fan up here. Also staying strong with your mental health and reminding people it's okay to not feel okay. Just finished therapy about 30 minutes ago. And being open about it is a big first step to healing. Yeah, therapy kicks ass. Therapy's cool. I was actually wondering if you could offer any career advice. I just started a career program in sports media and my own YouTube channel with the hopes of being on TV or radio talking about sports someday in the near future. Thank you and keep up the awesome work. Career advice is tough because you got to kind of wiggle your way in somewhere and then bust your ass. That's what you got to do. Now, it's great that you have the platform where literally anybody can start a YouTube channel or a podcast. So what I would advise is don't be afraid to reach out to people that have a bunch of followers and ask them if they'll be on your podcast to try to help you get exposure, because you'll probably find people who are willing to. There's a lot of good people in sports media. For instance, DM me on Twitter. I'll jump on your podcast and I'll share it. That's what it is. It's about finding a way in. For me, it was finding a way in as a button pusher and a guy who answers phones, and then working my way up at the Fan. Never been at another radio station. Got hired to answer phones. Now I'm doing afternoon drive. What up? Ian Cardaris, 19%er here. I worry about Tyron's hips holding up inside compared to end, especially if he has to play over 50% of snaps. Thoughts? Yeah, I know he likes playing end more than he likes playing tackle, but you got to do what you got to do for the squad. I do think you don't want him playing 70% of snaps. You'd like to have him playing 50, and then you can sub on some pass rush downs where he doesn't have to be inside if you want to. And hopefully one of these young guys is able to play a decent amount of snaps as well. Matt Wells, sup, bud? Been a percenter since probably 5% in for the long haul. My random question, coffee drinker? If so, favorite coffee mug? If not, favorite beer? I don't drink coffee. I think it's disgusting and horrible. My favorite beer at the moment is Dos Equis. I'll drink a Miller Lite on you or a Dos Equis on you, but currently I'm on the Dos Equis train. Cowboys question, who has a better year at QB, Dak with his weapons or Kyler with his weapons? I'm a big Kyler guy, but Dak. I'll take Dak's weapons over Kyler's. I'll take Dak's line over Kyler's. Now, Kyler in fantasy, it's possible he could beat Dak there because he'll get more rushing yards and maybe more rushing touchdowns. So I'm a Kyler guy, but you want to go Dak there. Leave in the comments what you want to talk about tomorrow. Keep hitting you with updates after each practice and as news comes down about the Cowboys. I truly appreciate everybody for watching this. I love you. Who's still here? It's 17-17. All right, I'll catch you guys on the radio. I love you. Bye.